ToMolly.
Welcome to Friends at Gameology, hosted by MoonlightCrew.com.
Reviews for science.
In 7 minutes or less.
Lord of the Rings deck building game Fellowship of the Ring. So this is based on the first movie.
Or book.
Well, I mean, it's got the pictures from the movie, so that's why I say movie. So it is going to be your same Cerberus engine game, deck building game. So you have 5 cards out, you draw that you choose to buy from. You've got your corruption, which are like your weaknesses, your valor, which are like your kicks, and then you've got your enemies. There's a little bit of difference in the enemies. There are 2 sets of enemies.
What?
Some that are bad, and some that are impossible.
Where's that stop card? There it is.
So, and so they're really, really hard. A lot of the attacks say you can't defend. Some of them do, some of them don't. So yeah. The difference between this and maybe other DC deck building games is that these say you start with a particular card, and that card gives you the power. So you don't have an innate power here. So Samwise starts with Samwise Bravery, which is one of these cards, which adds to your deck. So you only start with 6 courages, so 6 + 1 powers, and then this card. And so that's pretty much the game. It's your typical deck building games, but Lord of the Rings. So let's talk simplicity versus complexity.
I think this game is pretty simple, especially if you've played deck building games previously. And you'll do a quick rules read because you want to know in like the order that the enemies are placed and whatnot. But I mean, I think the gold standard for rule books is these. I don't know about all the Cryptozoic rule books, but these deck building Cerberus engine ones are just so easy to understand. So I think that this will be very simple to start, easy to play out of the box game.
Yeah, I think this game is very simple. I think you can introduce this game to new players, new gamers, no problem. Especially if they've played a deck builder before. But even if they haven't, it's a fairly simple concept. That's gonna be the hardest part is the deck building, but that's not hard at all. Again, anytime I talk about one of these new deck building games, there are all these cards, not all of them, but a lot of new unique cards here that you haven't seen before. So there's a lot of text. Oh, I just found something that is new. Fortunes are different than I've seen in other ones that aren't in Lord of the Rings universe. When this comes up, they cost 0. So pretty much whoever comes up for it is going to get it and does something really great. And so it's like a freebie, chancy freebie. So speaking of chance, let's talk luck versus strategy.
So this game has a lot of luck. Sometimes you need a certain card, say Moria Orcs, and you purchase a card and Moria Orcs comes out. There's 4 other people that can purchase it before you can. So, I mean, them's the breaks. But this game is strategic and very different than the other games in the Cerberus engine line because it's diplomatic. There's so much diplomacy in this game. There's so many cards that say you and another player can destroy a card in your hand or discard pile. Pick a player, everyone but that player draws a card. I mean, you're really working with the other people at the table. It is not just multiplayer solitaire, which I know a lot of deck builders boil down to be. This is not. And I'm not going to spoil the impossible mode cards. They're different than these regular, also pretty hard mode cards.
Really hard, yeah.
But no, these impossible mode cards also add a huge amount of diplomacy, and you've got to figure out who you're playing with and how they play, or you could get wrecked, not by the cards, but by the players at the table.
Yeah, there is one card that helps. It's a defense card, and you can choose another player, and they can defend that card too, or the attack, whatever it is. That's nuts. I never got helped in the aid. I was never aided.
I was so diplomatic. I got helped all the time.
Okay, and this is just our most recent game of it. I think this game is strategic. A lot of these cards say how you get something for however many allies you have, either power or drawing a card or whatever it is, and so or artifacts for that matter. And so I think this deck makes you want to get something in particular, either cards that draw cards or just load up on allies. So when you get that one card, it's amazing. And so I like that there's strategy in this game. Again, it's a deck builder, it's a card game, and there's some luck about what comes off the deck, but what you choose to do with what you're given, do you just get the Valor and get +2 power, or do you try to get and go for the ally strategy? So I do think there's some strategy in this game. Fun versus boring, I think this is super fun. I'm a nerd and a geek, and I like to read sci-fi and fantasy, and so I really like the Lord of the Rings genre. we're not going to talk about the book so much, but I love the lore that Tolkien created, right? And so I really enjoy reading these cards and seeing the things I saw in the movies and being like, oh yeah, that totally happened because this is based on the first movie, and so
Or book.
or book, and so things that you read about are from that. So that's really fun, and I like the deck building games, so it's really fun to me.
I really enjoy the Cerberus engine deck building games anyway. So adding in a different like splash of something new with the starting cards instead of starting powers, with the what do you call these guys? The fortunes, and just with all the new little twists and tweaks, I think is definitely a plus, and I've enjoyed this game every time I've played. On Board Game Geek rating, I would rate this 10 out of 10. I think it falls neatly in line with the other Cerberus engine deck building games I've played.
I would give us a 10 out of 10 too. We forgot to mention there is an attack, an ambush that does happen. So that's another element of luck in the game. We forgot when it comes off, it ambushes the next person, and so that can happen. So that's an element of luck. So we are friends at Gameology. So whenever we get to multiples of 500 subscribers on YouTube, we give away a free geeky glitter painting. So make sure to subscribe now.
Because it could be you that wins.
Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring deck building game. We've presented the evidence.
You be the judge.